Hey everybody, so let's talk about one of my fairy experiences. This is one I have not published, haven't written about it. I might have talked about it in a reel here or there, but not to this depth. There are these beings out there called brownies. A lot of people refer to them as house elves. You can think of uh, Thimbletack from Spiderwick Chronicles. I think his name is Thimbletack. He's this little, you know, 4 or 5 inch being who gets angry and they have to feed him crackers to calm him down with honey and stuff. So, kind of like that, Dobby, the house elf from Harry Potter, could kind of be considered a brownie in a way. He's more of a goblin type of thing. But brownies are these creatures from Celtic lore, which is like Ireland, Scotland area, that live in your home, are often associated with cleaning the house, doing dishes, sweeping, doing things that have been left behind and overlooked. They like clean homes. And having these personalities where if they feel disrespected, they get very angry and they turn into what's called a boggart, Boggart, boggart. So they turn into a boggart. And when they do, in order to calm them down, it's about treating them with respect and giving them an offering. So you give them an offering of crackers and honey or something of that nature. And over time, they calm down. A lot of poltergeist activity is often associated with beings that are brownies who have been angered and upset by the people that are living with them. At least that's I've heard some people say that, and that's what resonates with me as well. That a lot of poltergeist activity where cabinets are opening and things are going on to scare people out of their homes are angry fae because the people aren't respecting them entirely. That doesn't mean that's all poltergeist activity, but some. So, uh, and there are a lot of stories about brownies living with people and passing through families. I've had readings I've done where clients the being is a brownie or tiny elf-like being of some kind, and they say, I've passed down with the family. I came over when the family came over to the States. Different types of things like that they follow the family around. You know, go from they take a child that they like and they stick with them and continue doing that because they live a lot longer than we do. And so these um, beings kind of go around, and some of them even have families, and the families of those beings go with us, and so on and so forth. But this is more about my experience with a brownie, a beautiful experience. I've had many, um, and I was just wondering actually if Tovalt was still here, and he is. I just saw him out of the corner of my eye. He's a brownie. He's about 2 to 3 feet tall, um, and he shifts in and out of the house from time to time through a closet. I don't know if there's a portal in the closet or if the reality shifts and that's where he lives. But so anyway, uh, he's one of the ones that I've experienced. But I've here when I moved with my ex, I was living in the country. I was living in a house in the country on like 6 acres of land, mountains, nobody around. There was a neighbor right beside us, but I mean, we could look out the doors, and you could see fields, forest, and mountain in Appalachian Mountain for miles. You'd see for miles, and we moved to the city for her job, and she got this apartment, and in the process of getting the apartment, I was going over there and spending like weekends every once in a while because she was staying at the apartment for about 6 months to figure out if she was going to stay at the job before we picked up and moved to a city and wasn't sure if we were going to like it or not. So I finally move in, and I don't remember the timing if it was before I moved in. I think it was before I moved everything into that apartment. Her stuff, my stuff, everything from the house anyway. And I took an offering and put an offering out on this shelf. Uh, put an offering out for the spirits of the house. And within seconds, it was crazy because there was the dining room kitchen area, then a hallway went straight, and the wall of the dining room area was the wall of my bedroom, where I slept. We slept separately because we had trouble sleeping together, for uh, very specific reasons you can find out in the My Spiritual Journey series. Uh, but the wall was the bedroom for me, and the doorway. So the doorway coming out the hall would have been, on the side of the kitchen or the dining room. Sorry. I put the offering out. It was oats and honey. I'm assuming, I think, usually I would do oats and sometimes honey. And within seconds, I see this thing look around the wall, kind of like dark energy, very upset energy, very dark, very upset, very, uh, in my mind's eye, very scraggly, I guess is the way I would call it. Very like just an upset, starving appearance, hungry appearance, as if it hadn't been acknowledged for a long time. Looks around the corner and then runs down the way, down the hallway into the room with the shelf, and I see it look up over the shelf and start reaching in and pulling energy from the oats. If you see the curtains moving and hear them, it's because my cat is having a heck of a time playing and looking outside. So the being runs over, it's a scraggly look. It's got hair on it. It's I can't see it too well. I'm getting used to the energy of the apartment, but it's there, and it's looking in and it's grabbing energy from it. I'm like, oh, there's something here, and I knew, I was pretty sure it was a brownie of some type, and about 2.5 feet tall, probably 2.5 feet tall. And then it disappears for a while and goes on. Later on, I start meditating after I move in, and this being comes out of the closet that was in my room. That creature had come out of my bedroom and ran into the dining room to get the offering. I'm meditating, and all these beings are coming to me, and this short little man who's like 2 foot tall, a little smaller than what I had seen, comes out. He's got like a white shirt. He's got overall type things on. It's real furry, really furry, mousy features. I think he had glasses. If I remember right. A lot of the brownies and stuff seem to wear spectacles and other types of things. So he worked with me, and I learned he was a brownie living there. He was a father of a family of brownies who had access to the house, and he worked with me with some, I think they were doing energetic upgrades at the time, and he would just sit with me at times, and he would talk to me every once in a while, but only in my bedroom. He would only show up in my bedroom. He wouldn't leave my bedroom. He'd go into the closet and disappear, and that was that. But I was making offerings in the dining room, and I don't remember how long it took, but at some point, this other brownie shows up, comes out of my closet, and introduces herself. And now, I believe her name was Barbara. I do not remember 100% because I met a lot of brownies and a lot of beings during that time, and then sometimes the names kind of mix. But I had this problem with her name where I was writing a story, and I think this is why she showed up and introduced herself, because I think they felt the energy of me writing this story. I wrote a story called Revenge of the Brownie for my fantasy series about a character I had developed years before who was a feminine brownie who is an assassin and very knowledgeable, but very like has a Hulk-like anger to her. And I had been preparing to write that book at this new apartment that was focused solely on her. It's like a standalone prequel to my series. So, her name in the book is Bonnie. So, I had this problem where I was always like, I would be writing and I would call the brownie who was there, this feminine brownie who was taller than her dad. She was 2.5 to 3 feet tall. Feminine, younger, much younger. Uh, like if I had to put it in like human perspective, because age isn't the same, but if I just said age wise, like 20-year-old brownie, type of thing. She, I think she wore some type of overall too. I can't remember off the top of my head. She also had glasses, and very, very hairy, furry, like a lot more fur around her. And so she would talk to me, but I would be calling her Bonnie and be like, oh, wait, that's not right, because I was in the middle of like writing my story about my character, Bonnie, and her name was, I'm pretty sure it was Barbara. And I'd have to look through my journals. It's probably in there somewhere, but I don't know exactly where. But the name Barbara keeps coming to mind. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Name is but a name, as my guides would say. So Barbara and I would talk together, and she did the same thing. It was interesting. They would not leave my room. My room was a safe space in my relationship. My room was where I did my meditations. It's where I worked with my guides, gods, dragons, all this. Very high vibrational, very clean. It was hard to keep the rest of the house clean because of the partner that I had. But my room was always pretty clean and energetically clean and felt safe. And it was almost like the energy of the apartment. The closer you got to her bedroom was very black, and my bedroom was like this bright light, is the way we always described it when we talked. When the ETs and others about talk, it'd be like I would see it, and I would see like this the apartment itself was gray, and going back it got black with the toxicity of my partner. In the dark, just she had a lot of dark energy around her, to the point, I mean, where I would have to close the door because the energy as I was raising would give me migraines. Just the energy, the polarization of the energy. So the I could never figure out. I'm like, they never leave the bedroom. If I put oats out and gave an offering, sometimes Barbara would come out, but she would never come out when my ex was there. She would always stay inside. My ex knew she was there. She was intuitive and could see things and could feel things and stuff, and had seen them in the apartment, had felt them and stuff, and had seen other things. Some of the things she had asked me to tell to go away, like the interdimensional insect arthropod. I don't know what it was, but it was showing up for about a week, and she would see it and like be like, get it away. I don't want it here, type of thing. So it wasn't just me experiencing this, it was her too. And the brownie, Barbara, was just this very beautiful being. There's not much exciting to say as far as most of it, because it's just me and her having conversations, talking to each other, like, oh, what'd you do today? How did you do? What's going on? She helped me deal with emotions. I could talk to her, that type of thing. It was like a friendship. And then she would go into the closet and disappear. And what they told me is their house was in the closet. The closet was like a gateway to wherever their house was, wherever their realm was. And she would pass back and forth. Kind of a traditional fairy type of thing, where there's a gateway or a portal, and then you pass into a fae realm and you pass into the human world. And so they would disappear from time to time. And I remember once going hiking, or not hiking, walking. I didn't hike out there. I walked around the city, and there was a school, and the school had an enormous amount of field for soccer and uh, some other sports, but just enormous amounts of field. This is in the city, so it was also kind of public area for people to bring dogs, and there was a nature park and all this stuff. So I'd walk through the nature park. I'd get, uh, what people in the city consider natural energy, because there's a lot of city energy. Even though there's nature there, it's like there's a lot of city energy there. So I would still get some nature energy. And if I went early enough, I might see some foxes. I might see some other things. Saw a box turtle once. Uh, all kinds of birds, deer, always deer. I was always good at meeting deer. I'm very connected to deer, so I can find them pretty easily. And I walk out and I start walking down the fields. And when I see the fields are long, I'm talking the fields are this length of field that's public and for different sports and stuff. It's got to be at least a half mile long, with how long it is. So I'm walking through field and sunlight, and that's one of the things I loved walking out there. I would take my shirt off, I'd walk in the sunlight and just bathe in the sunlight while I was walking. There are these posts randomly every so many feet, I guess. My assumption at the time was that the posts were at the markers for, like, this is the end of designating this a soccer field or something. And they're just wood poles, just a single wood pole, nothing around it, just field, a single wood pole in a box, and the box was an electrical box. And I'm walking and I see a goblin sitting on top of the box, and I've got my backpack on, and I don't remember why I had my backpack on. I might have just been wearing it to help train myself for hiking the mountains, because I would go out to the mountains every once in a while. And I see the goblin on it, and I start talking to him, and I'm like, I see you. And he's like, oh, you see me, and start having this conversation with this goblin who's just in the middle of a field. They're just people randomly. Like, there's not a lot of people in these fields at this time, but every once in a while there's a person. He's just watching them. He's sitting on there watching them. He's looking down at the electrical box, and I think he was like trying to mess with the electrical box. They like to play with things and try to mess with them. And I'm looking at him like, what are you doing? And I don't remember what we were talking about, but essentially he's like, oh, can I come with you? Can I come see where you live, type of thing? And I'm like, this is a goblin. I don't know, maybe. And I go, you know what? Sure, but I live with a Brownie. And he's like, oh. I go, you can go with me if you follow my rules. And my rules at the time were, and Doug was not living with me at this time, because I can hear Doug, like, I don't remember that. He was not living with me at this time. Doug's a juniper gnome. But there was this goblin who gets on my backpack, and he's riding my backpack as I'm walking back to the apartment for another 1.5 miles, 2 miles. And so we're walking, and I say, you have to follow my rules. You can't break anything. You can't be mischievous. This is how you can be there. You have to be nice. If what I say goes. When it comes to goblins, I'm very like, I like goblins. They're very fun and like they can be irritating at times, but they're fun. They're just interesting. And then I said, but Barbara, she's the Brownie who lives there, and she has the final say so because it's originally her house. She had been living there for a long time. I think since the building had been built, they had been using that room in the apartment, I should say, the whole apartment, which I think is one of the things they were upset about. when we moved in, until I brought that light energy to that bedroom. So we go back. He's like, okay, and we're talking, and he's being goblin-y as usual. We're talking. We get into the apartment. I open the door, and I'll never forget Barbara feeling me walk into the house with the goblin on my backpack, and me being like her running out of the bedroom, because she rarely came out of the bedroom, but her coming out of the bedroom and running into the living room and going, oh no, absolutely not, you are not allowed to be here. And it was like the goblin left like that. I think I convinced her to let him stay for like a few minutes or something. I don't remember how long, but it was very quick that he had to go. He was not allowed to be there. So Barbara and I had an interesting encounter with that goblin. And then it was interesting too, because like I said, she never came out of the room, and I did not figure out why until after I left my ex. When I put all this together, when I realized, because when you're out of a situation, when you're in the situation, you don't necessarily see clearly, and when you're out of the situation, you start putting the pieces, and you're like, oh, that's why. That's why this didn't happen, that didn't happen. And so I would talk to them in my bedroom. They would not leave the room. Occasionally they would. When the goblin came in, she ran out of that room like hell, and was like, absolutely not, and then went right back in when she was done. But Barbara, when I had, I don't know what you'd call it, it was my final interaction with my ex, where we decided that it was it was done. We were walking away, and I knew it was coming. I had made a choice on my trip to New Mexico that there was either going to be a great change, or I was leaving, and I knew she wasn't going to change, because I knew the pattern and I knew the darkness and all that. But I gave her a choice, and in waiting for that choice, the Fae were working with me. My friend Doug was with me from New Mexico, and he was learning from Barbara. Like he came out here, I should say, under the guise of learning a lot about the East Coast and taking it back to his beings and that sort of thing, taking knowledge back. That's what I thought he was here for. He was actually here to be my friend through a very difficult time. And the night that all happened, that she came home and was like, no, I just want to end. We just need to end this. I was like, okay, which I knew was going to happen. I had a breakdown. I had a breakdown, not because of the relationship, because of the fear of, I had no idea what I was going to do. I didn't have, my friends weren't around. My family, I knew I couldn't take the cats to my family because of allergy issues. City expenses were too expensive for me. That was one of the issues I had with that apartment, is I wanted something more affordable, and I was like, if you want that apartment, she had to pay for it, type of thing, because I had been affording the country property just fine. But those of you in the city know, a 3-bedroom apartment that's 1,000 square feet is super freaking expensive in the city just for the rent. And I was like, I had no idea what I was going to do, because I was managing on my own just fine. But this was a big life change, and I had just moved. I had just paid for a move a year before, like less than a year beforehand, I don't know. And it was like moving multiple times and footing the bill and all this other stuff it's very stressful. If you haven't moved before, it can be very stressful and expensive. So I was in another situation where I had a big life change, and I'm like, what is going on? I had a panic attack. Gratefully, my ex was able to work me through the panic attack and get me. Like I actually like lost all control of my body and went paralyzed from the fear of what am I going to do. When I look back on it, it's the true source of it was what am I going to do? How am I going to bring the cats with me, or all these things. And I'll never forget Doug Doug was there. His sitting area was beside my recliner, so he was there. And at one point, my ex left, and I was sitting there, and I look over, and Barbara walks out for the first time ever when my ex was there. Like for the first time I had ever seen her. Walks out, walks around the couch, and sits on the couch and puts like a hand on my arm or my leg or something, and starts saying I'll be okay. Starts telling me how I'll be okay. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, am I really seeing you? And she's like, yeah, I'm here. I don't come out because of her. And I was like, in that moment, I realized, I was like, oh, you don't come out because of the energy that was around you. But she came out when I needed a friend. And so like Doug was there, and I needed a friend to console me, to help me through it. And so Barbara came out and sat with me for like, I don't know, half hour, whatever, however long it was, and talked to me. The Fae were like, when I needed them, they came to me, they helped me. They sent Doug to me, who I'm extremely grateful for. And Barbara, so I worked with Barbara, or talked with Barbara for a while, and I was just shocked. I was utterly shocked by this because, like I said, I'd never seen her. It was rare for her to come out of the bedroom and to stay out of the bedroom if it wasn't for an offering or something, and to go back into her, wherever her home and world is. And she came out, and then I talked to her throughout the next couple days before I left. I finally made the decision. It took me a while to figure out what I was going to, a day or two to figure out what I was going to do, and I finally made the decision to just fill my car with what I could, like the vine behind me and some other stuff, and go to my parents until I could figure out what to do with the cats and the stuff that was at the apartment. And in that process, I told Barbara, I was like, you can come with me. I knew they did not like the energy of the apartment. But they had been there for so long, her and her dad, and I don't remember if they had any other family. I never saw any, but I was like, you can come with me to wherever I go. You're more than welcome wherever I go. And she was like, yeah, but this is our home. This is where we've lived for decades. And I was like, okay. She goes, I'll talk to my dad, but I think we're gonna stay. We'll figure it out. Because I was afraid too that if they stayed, the energy of my ex and all of that, it was one of the things I remember asking, was like, just do one thing for me, and that's give offerings and acknowledge Barbara and her dad, because I was like, they do not deserve to be ignored. They're here, they live here, they do not deserve to be ignored at all. Supposedly she did, I don't know. But that's my story with Barbara. I never saw her again. I left the apartment, never saw her again. I think I telepathically checked in once or twice, and then kind of lost the connection. And it's just a story about, you can build friendships with these beings. You can build friendships with Fae. You can have conversations, and they can be there when you need them. If a human friend isn't around, they'll come. And I was shocked when she came, because I wasn't asking for anybody to come out. She just came out and came around and sat with me. And I had built that friendship. I worked with her dad a little bit in the beginning, and then she came and I built the friendship with her that was much closer. And even Doug, we'll talk about Doug more in other videos, but if you have brownies, you can build friendships with them. I have one here who's very skittish, feels like he's kind of sitting there watching me talk about this. He doesn't come out much. He's very shy, very skittish. I gave offerings when I first came to the house because I saw him. I could see him moving around. Um, I don't think he's been treated very well in the past. I don't think the house was treated very well in the past. Let me put it that way. Or the apartment, I should say. And so he's a lot better now. But um, they, you can build these friendships with these beings, and build friendships. And like I said, just when you need somebody, they're there. Uh, they'll help you. They'll be your friend. They'll laugh with you, talk with you, tell you stories, different things. They can communicate with you telepathically, clairaudiently. Some people actually hear them. Sometimes I do, but it's more telepathic, like in my mind type of thing. So brownies exist, and I've seen brownies. I have brownies that are like thimble tack, a few inches tall at most. There's another story about Beatrice, who is one that lives at my mom's house, and there are those that are like 2 to 3 feet tall, like Barbara Tovalt. Uh, I don't know why I'm feeling the need to say Nickelbacher. I don't remember meeting one named that, but if somebody watching this, has one in their house, that might be their name. So keep in mind they exist. You can build friendships with them, and just enjoy them. Enjoy them. They're friends. They're friends and family. It's not just humans in the world. So thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any questions, and I appreciate you all, and I'm grateful for all of you.